to bang the gavel to get listed to a meeting. Well, anyway. So welcome everybody to the Lewiston Planning and Zoning amended regular meeting for May 28, 2025 at 5:30. So first item we have on the agenda is the call to order. And agenda item number 2 is citizens' comments. So this is an opportunity for citizens to address the commission with comments and or questions about planning and zoning commission related matters that are not related to a public hearing that we have on this agenda. I don't see anybody waiting in the audience. Do we have anybody email, phone? No? All right, well, that takes care of item number 2. So item number 3 on our agenda is our active agenda. So we have approval of the May 14th, 2025 meeting minutes. Did everybody get a chance to look those over?
Pretty straightforward.
They look good to me. Yep. So with that, I'll take a motion.
I so move that we accept the meeting minutes from May 14th, 2025 as presented.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? None. All right, motion carries. All right, so on to item B, which is a public hearing and recommendation to City Council on zoning code amendment ZA-02-25, amending the definition of single family dwellings. And this is an action item. So for anybody listening online, I'll just explain the public hearing process real quick, and it will be the same for our other public hearing item C. We'll open up the public hearing, or we'll announce the subject of the public hearing as I just did. We don't have anybody testifying out there. Otherwise, I would mention the 3-minute time limit. So after the public hearing is opened officially, we will hear a presentation from staff. If anybody emailed, phoned in, any commentary, testimony from the public, commissioners can ask questions to staff during or after their presentation. After that, I will close the public hearing, and then we will deliberate and articulate our reasons for the proposed recommendation and make a recommendation on ZA-02-25 to the City Council. So with that, I will open up this public hearing. We will hear from staff, from Katie.
There I am. Good evening, Commission. Katie Hollingshead, Assistant Planner. So our first public hearing is, as read, adding a definition to the definition of dwelling in city code to also allow a tiny house as defined in and built to the standards of the International Residential Code, which is adopted in our Chapter 10 of the Lewiston City Code, to that general definition of single family dwelling. We don't currently identify tiny homes on individual private lots in our code. They're only identified separately as like tiny home villages, or if they were going to be part of a manufactured home park. We do get lots of calls from folks wanting to know what our rules are regarding tiny homes and whether or not they can place one on a lot. So we thought it would be a good idea for the city to move forward with adding that to that single family definition, and to I guess just point out that it does have to be built to that code for the National Residential Code, which does require certain standards, and that it be permanently fixed to the ground, attached to water and sewer services for the city. We do get a lot of calls from people who want to park the ones on wheels on properties, but those are built to an RV standard, not to a HUD standard, which makes them safe for regular habitable dwelling. Also in this amendment is making an amendment to the definition of recreational vehicle. Previously, we exempted park model recreational vehicles, which are also sometimes called tiny homes, because they're built at 399 square feet, and added those to ones that would be allowed as an RV in an RV park, or otherwise allowed in the different areas where an RV would be allowed to be parked within the city. So those are the two changes that are being made. Again, park model recreational vehicle, motorhome, or any that are listed in the definition of recreational vehicle per Idaho Code, Title 39, Chapter 42. So again, following along with Idaho code, identifying those different kinds of vehicles that we would consider an RV. So those are two items for this particular code amendment. I would stand for questions.
Questions, commission?
Straightforward.
We had some questions on it last week, or not last week, excuse me, before the public hearing 2 weeks ago, so. Okay, well, I don't think we have any questions for you, Katie. Dawn, do we have any testimony from the public? No? I did my best to try and get testimony from the public. So with no testimony, excuse me, from the public, commissioners, if you don't have any questions or comments, I will close the public hearing. All right, public hearing is closed. So now we will deliberate and articulate our reasons for the proposed recommendation. And I should know this by now. This doesn't have relevant criterion standards, does it? It's just a.
No.
That's correct.
Well, there was a need for it. People were coming in and it was not addressed in our code as written, and so. Put a tiny home on their property up to HUD standards.
I like that it defines the difference between the pitched and wheeled versus
And I think-
formal and permanent plumbing and utilities, so.
I think we've touched on the affordability aspect of housing in this commission, especially very many times. But I think this goes towards the need in the community, and this is just another way of providing that.
Well, those shed companies are getting really creative with their
Yeah.
tiny home builds.
Yeah.
The non-axled.
Yeah.
I don't know if they meet the HUD standards, and that would be.
I like the fact that they, and what we added, they could be 20 feet high. By the time you put them here and here and here, you can actually stand up if you want to have a loft upstairs.
Appreciate the clarity in city code.
Yeah. Right, well, I think, is that enough for you, Jen? Enough reasons? So with those reasons, I will accept a motion to approve, deny, or make a change to ZA-02-25 to the city council.
I would move for sending forward an approval recommendation to city council.
I will second that motion. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. None opposed? Motion carries. All right, that moves us into item C on our active agenda, which is another public hearing. So public hearing and recommendation to city council on zoning code amendment ZA-03-25 relating to preschools. And the process for the public hearing is the same as I described before. So with that, I'll go ahead and open it up. Go ahead, Katie.
Evening, Commissioners. Katie Hollingshead, Assistant Planner. Okay, so this amendment is for the preschool. So if the commission remembers, a couple of months ago, we had a preschool come in front of the commission that was a standalone preschool, and those required a conditional use permit. In preparing that staff report and going through that application with that applicant, staff looked at code as it stood, and schools were allowed by right in a lot of zones, but preschools required CUPs in those same zones. Staff felt that a preschool is probably very similar in nature, if not smaller, to a school, and so should probably be held to those same standards. A lot of times preschools don't end up coming in front of the commission because they are an accessory use to a primary, so they're either part of a church or they're part of a school. And so it's probably going to be infrequent that we see new standalone preschools come through. Usually they're going to be part of something else. You might see them as part of CUP for like a daycare center. A lot of times they will offer preschool services. But we wanted to bring it in front of the commission as something we thought made more sense in the allowed by right with the special conditions that a school is held to, where there's neighbor notification and some other items, rather than having to go through this CUP process just for a preschool, which, as I mentioned before, usually is much denser or less dense than a school would be in a residential neighborhood. So that's what's in front of you guys today. So we provided a definition for a preschool facility. Our code was also missing an actual definition for school, so we added that. And then we added preschool as a use by right in all the zones that currently list a school as a use by right, and then made them subject to the same special conditions. And then the amendment also then removes the preschool from the sections where it was a conditional use, where we've then added it as a use by right. So those are the things there. And then one other small change that we made, kind of a clean up, that was noticed as we were going through this. If you guys remember, a couple years ago, we made a change to our notification section of code where state code requires that we notify within 300 feet of a property seeking a conditional use or other land use application. Standard city practice is to mail within 330 feet of a subject property, and that had not been adjusted in that special conditions section. So we would also be making that adjustment to move that from the 300 to the 330, since that is our normal practice. So those are the general items in here. It's kind of a repeat because it's multiple zones where that change is being made. So it's kind of just repeating itself over and over again into each of those zones where it was either a CUP and it got moved to that use by right, and then changed from that, eliminated from that CUP section. And I would stand for questions.
Commission?
Just a refresher, didn't we formally change the code from the 300 to the 330 standard practice quite something ago? Yes.
Yeah, that's for the notice mailings.
Yeah, thank you. So that it makes sense to bring it into alignment.
Mhm.
Well, did we have anything mailed in? We can call in.
Summer.
Yeah, all right, with that, then I will close the public hearing and then we will deliberate and articulate our reasons. All right, so, I think to me, this is just a cleanup of the code. And also it just makes sense to have a low use density be allowed to be in locations where it makes sense. So, and I don't think we should make preschools jump through hoops, which they may or may not have had to do. It just makes sense to put that into the code. So that's what it is to me, at least.
School in it.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward. You'd have a hard time explaining why there would be a difference.
I think it'll probably be rare that this would actually be brought up simply because they usually are an adjacent use. So they usually aren't standalones.
Well, it used to not be a problem, but now the state has changed licensing for preschools, which is
Oh,
why we
point.
decided to add this to our code.
All right, well, if there's no more discussion, then I will take a motion to make a recommendation to city council.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we make a recommendation to city council to adopt ZA 03 25.
All right, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to recommend approval of ZA 03 25 to the city council. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None? Motion carries. All right, and that gets us through our active agenda. So item number 4 is staff commission communications, and it looks like we have a public hearing on the agenda for June 11th.
Yep, so just show of hands, is there anyone, Shay, you mentioned you might not be available for June meetings? You'll be. And we do have public hearings planned for the June 11th meeting. Don't think there are any other items currently, but there is a public hearing scheduled, so.
Just one, different, okay. That should be here, so.
Something rattling.
Same, please, I have something rattling in there, but I'm not sure what it
Keep
is.
you posted when it settles down.
And then the other item, and I don't know if Dawn has gotten this sent out to you guys yet. I meant to bring the flyers and I forgot.
Is it the barbecue?
The barbecue.
Oh, she did.
Okay,
Yes, yeah.
yes, so boards and commissions are invited to our city barbecue on June 25th from 11 to 1. The flyer had information,
Yeah.
Fire station.
fire session. Yep. Hang out with us. Have lunch.
Sounds fun.
That's all I have.
Well, that's it. I will move on to item number 5, which is our favorite item. Okay, maybe it's not our favorite item, but adjournment. So I'm taking motion to adjourn. Moved,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all.